All right, everybody. So this is like a couple of days overdue, and I just want to explain that I was in Warrnambool earlier this week or over the weekend, the past weekend, and we actually left on Thursday night, and I didn't have my SD card reader, so I really didn't see any much point in like starting this video and stuff. But we're back. It's currently a Monday night. Um, I did do my analytics last Thursday, so don't worry, like it's gonna be up to date from there. You're just getting a little bit late. But if you guys are new to the channel, you guys don't know what this is. I'm Nomad222. I'm a father of four. I'm an artist. I make hip hop music and spoken word, and I do a bunch of different things, event production. I'm currently rolling out an album called the Nomadic Deluxe. I'm doing single by single in a waterfall release format. And what that means is that every single Friday, you're getting a new song added to the entire project until eventually, after 17 weeks, you're going to have the full project on all streaming platforms, unless you want to buy it right now on even.biz. I know that's a lot of information, but luckily for you, there's a backlog of videos that you can go back and watch right now. So if you want to go back to my channel, start with the first video, then you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we're right here, and thank you guys for joining me once again. Now, I'm going to get straight into the analytics here. There's a couple things that I got to note, but I'll do it over each section, starting with the Spotify monthly listeners. So last week we were sitting at 264 Spotify monthly listeners. This week we're sitting at 344 Spotify monthly listeners. Just under 100 new listeners. Thank you to everybody who's running up the music and still listening to everything. Remember, we started at 51 and we've got a target of 4 million. It's a huge jump, but every week we're just getting closer and closer. Like, it went from 51 to 73 to 139 to 183 to 264 and now 344 in 6 weeks. So thank you again to everybody who's listening to the songs. Spotify total streams, we went from 7,568 to 7,815. Not bad. It's an extra, 300 or something, just under. Again, thank you to everyone who's running it up on Spotify. Spotify followers, we gained 3 extra followers and we're now at 185. Again, our goal for that is like 10,000. So, to everyone who's following so far, all 185 of you, much love, very appreciated. And in terms of Spotify playlist ads, we're sitting at 346, whereas last week we were at 321. So over 20 new playlist ads. Shout out to everyone who's jumping onto that bandwagon and, creating these playlists and putting us in them. I really appreciate it. And, especially with the song that we just dropped, The News, it's a heavy one. Well, you guys are currently listening to that now. So we'll see how that goes this Thursday. But the song that we're talking about, where these stats relate to, is actually Dove's Cry, featuring Hids and 94. So yeah, shout out to you guys for vibing with that song, that West Coast joint, and really appreciate it. Now let's talk about the other major platform, Apple Music, where our daily listeners have consistently stayed at 2 daily listeners from week 1 to week 6, which is all goods. It's just a slower journey on Apple Music. Not everyone opts for Apple Music, even if they have an iPhone, and even then it's exclusive to iPhone. So completely understand that. We lose out on a whole market of Android users and everything like that. It's completely fine. But in saying that, we finally got confirmation after 3 weeks of sitting at 7,600. We're now at 7,700. So in terms of total streams, so that's great. More progress there. It's a slower journey on Apple Music than Spotify because it's not the main used platform. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's another platform that is more popular than Apple Music, but for me, it's the main one because I'm one of those 2 listeners on Apple Music, because this is what I use. Anyway, moving on to the social media platforms. So this one's gonna seem a little bit crazy, but again, we started this journey at 4,111 followers, and this week's number is 4,031. And I can explain why it's such a big drop. The reason why I lost so many followers was because I actually went into my settings and I found out that there's an approved list, or a list of users that are waiting for my approval to follow me. And I went into that list and I actually unapproved all of them because they're all bots. And I think that's something that I recommend for everyone to do. I think that's important, that you don't keep this list of people following you that are just, spam and bots, and potentially harming your algorithm. So I did that, and there was like 71 of them, because last week we were sitting at 4,100, and now we're at 4,031. But I will say, like, over the past couple of days, even though it's only been a little bit of time, I have seen an increase in followers since then, and I feel like my algorithm's been a little bit more generous this week. But again, we'll see this coming Thursday whether or not that's true. Now, something weird that happened this week was the Instagram post engagement rate. So where I go on my Instagram app so that I can see on the back end how much content is getting engaged with, it actually changed. So they don't straight up have a percentage like I've had over the past 5 weeks, where I can see it's like 215.30% or 496.60%. Instead, they've broken it up into 4 sections where I can see the views, I can see interactions, total followers, and content I shared. And those are in 4 separate categories, and they all have different metrics now. So I can see that the views are at 57,000 roughly, and my interactions were at 1.7 thousand. So what I did with that was I actually got the engagement rate based off those figures, but now it's smaller. It's at a different level. So I don't have hundreds, but I'm starting fresh on the engagement rate at 3%. So 1.7 thousand people interacted with my post out of 57,000 views. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, we're at a 3% ratio, I guess. Now, moving on to TikTok followers, again, we're increasing. We ended last week with 5,251 TikTok followers, and now we're at 5,256. It's not the biggest jump in the journey so far, but it's still a jump nonetheless, and it's been the most consistently growing metric out of all of these analytics so far. So shout out to all the TikTokers out there who are following me and engaging with my content, liking the videos that I post, and all of that. I really do appreciate it. In terms of the TikTok post engagement rate, we're up at the highest that we've had so far, 3,307%. And that's dope. I'm really grateful that people are interacting with the content again. It's been a while since the TikTok has been popping like that, ever since I inherited it last year. Sorry, apologize for that noise. Anyway, that's TikTok in a nutshell. And on the YouTube front, we gained one new subscriber over the past week. So we're sitting at 473. Again, we know that YouTube is a slower game, especially if you're relying on shorts, and I'm not posting as much long form content as I'd like to, but we're getting there. We're in a better space, and that's the analytics for this week. I do want to talk about, what's been going on with that song. Honestly, is there a little bit of disappointment? Yes, I do feel a little bit disappointed that Dove's Cry isn't catching on as well as I thought it would. On my mental, I'm kind of two minds right now, where on the one hand, I am grateful for how we're doing this rollout, because each week I'm promoting a new song, and in turn, it's gaining streams for the rest of the catalog, which is great. My problem is that I'm trying to promote Dove's Cry this week, right? And when I put Dove's Cry, it's more of a technical thing, because Dove's Cry comes out, but Dove's Cry is the last song in the project now. So the newest song becomes the last song in the project, and all the songs that came before it, the old songs from all the way back to week 1, those are at the top of the playlist. So I've been trying to promote the individual track as much as possible. So like copying the link into my Instagram stories and things like that, so that when people click on that link, they just go to Dove's Cry without having the rest of the project. But it seems to me that people are clicking on the actual project and searching it up by themselves and then going into it, because Dove's Cry hasn't really gotten that many streams on its own, and people are streaming Jokes on You and We On and Life and Times More. Like the early songs, the first three that appear on the project, that's what they're streaming more of. So that's a bit of a problem to me. So every time a new song comes out, that new song isn't getting the streams that it deserves because I've got all the other songs attached to it. So I'm starting to think that maybe that was a bit of an issue. Maybe that's not the way that I should have gone about things. Continuing the waterfall release like that, I'm starting to think that maybe I should have just done every song drops every Friday, one by one, and then when they're all out, compile them into the one project. Now it makes sense. It should have made sense a lot earlier, but it is what it is, and I've committed to it. I've got everything scheduled. I've got all the songs scheduled. I can't really back out now. It is interesting though. I'm not, while I did just express that, it might sound like I'm passionately upset about it. It's more just frustration. It's more just, interesting. I'm not fully, angry about it. I'm not going to let it ruin my day or anything like that. But I will say, I wish I had the foresight to know that that probably wasn't the way to go. Again, the positive is that now you guys know that, and you guys can take this lesson that I've just had to learn and apply it to your future releases if you guys do want to do a release that way of a major project or whatever. And if I ever want to do this again, I know that the waterfall release that I'm going to be doing, it might even be in reverse. So maybe instead of like having every new song appear at the bottom of the project, I'll have it appear at the start, and then vice versa. Or maybe I just won't include every other song at all. I'll just do singles on their own, by themselves, one track, until the whole project is done, and then I'll compile it at the end. But yeah, either way, I'm still happy with how things are going. Everything's still on an uphill trajectory across the board, aside from Instagram followers, because things need to get a bit cleaned up there. But I'm wrapped about it, and it's got me excited about how next year is going to be, because I've been working behind the scenes to create my own content and start planning for next year and how I'm going to tackle the entire year. Because obviously this is a 17-week plan. I've got it all scheduled and stuff, and I'm learning from it. I'm actively developing my skills as a marketer and pushing my ability to create content and things like that, as well as my music. So next year I want to double down and take what we've learned from 17 weeks and apply it to 52 weeks. And how can I be consistent all year round? And there's a couple different methods that I'm looking at, including, doubling down on these videos where I'm just performing the song in front of the camera in a different setting, in a different outfit, a different song every single day. And, basically I want to at least post one thing every single day where I'm rapping to you guys and you guys are hearing one song from my catalog, and it's giving you guys some variety every day. I don't want you guys to see me in the same exact setting back to back. I don't want you to see me wearing the same clothes back to back. I don't want you to hear me rapping the same song back to back. I'm going to mix it up, shuffle it up. But on the behind the scenes front, I'm filming all that content in bulk and then editing it together and cutting it up in a way that is simple for me to do as a father of four who's got a full-time job and doing all this other shit, right? And it's actually a lot simpler than I thought. And it's, in hindsight, I wish that I could have figured this stuff out a little bit sooner, but here we are today and we're doing it now. So 2025 is already shaping out to be a great year. With that being said, let me tell you guys about this trip that I took to Warrnambool. So me, as you know, I work for a little organization called Multicultural Arts Victoria, aka MAV. Let that focus in on on that if it wants to. All right, it's not going to focus. Mav, you see that? That's me. So I work for Multicultural Arts Victoria. I started off last year. It's pretty much been a year now. I started off as the coordinator for the cultural agency, which is a brokerage program in which I get to answer inquiries from councils and organizations and all these different people who are always hitting us up in the emails, in the DMs, and just being like, look, we've got this event coming up for Harmony Week or Cultural Diversity Week or NAIDOC Week, and we're looking to have a Nigerian dance troupe or Bollywood dance troupe or Kapa Haka group perform there. Do you guys know of anybody? And my role is essentially to connect them with these artists, but then advocate for those artists to make sure that they're safe, that they're paid fairly, and that they have things in place like a contract that pays them super, that when they get there on the day that they're taken care of and all of that stuff. And it's all about cultural safety, as well as providing good, solid paid opportunities for culturally diverse artists to perform and things like that and get paid for their work. So that's what my role started off as, and I started off working there part-time. And earlier this year, I was able to sign an extension on my contract and extend my hours to work 4 days a week. And now I am their youth lead while still being the cultural agency coordinator. And what that also entails is doing all the stuff as a brokerage agent that I was previously doing, to also now getting the opportunity to go out to industry events and triage and sort of be the first point of contact for Multicultural Arts Victoria. So when artists want to reach out and talk to us and see what we have available, what services we offer and things like that, I'm the one with the work phone. I answer the office email. I've been doing the greatest job. I'll be completely honest to that. I'm still getting used to it, but that's my role. And just this past weekend, I had the opportunity to go out to Warrnambool, which is like 2.5 hours out from where I live, in regional Victoria, to be a part of Triple J's More Than a One Night Stand event, which honestly was way more impactful and important to that town than I anticipated. And honestly, it was a good time. It was a great time for me to connect with my supervisor and my boss. Two very powerful, strong, and wise women from our organization. And the three of us went down to Warrnambool. I also got to bring my partner T, and we stayed there from Thursday night to Saturday night, and got to go to all of these industry things. So Triple J's One Night Stand is already a music festival for Warrnambool, for people to come and, pay tickets and get into the show and watch, professionals do their thing, right? The More Than a One Night Stand thing was for industry to come together, network, liaise, and hopefully impart some knowledge on emerging talent in the area, or surrounding whoever wanted to come out. And it was great on a couple different fronts. So we got to connect with various organizations like Regional Arts Victoria, Songlines, Aboriginal Songlines. Songlines is a really dope Indigenous organization, and we got to connect with Uncle Robbie. And who else did we get to? We got to connect with Kerry and Co. I think it was Kennel and Co. Trust me, they were a lot more impactful than I'm making it seem. It's just, I'm not good with names. I'm great with people and I'm great with faces. And, I got to really flex my chops in being a communicator and being able to talk to people and communicate what it is that I do and what I'm passionate about. So that was really fun. But on another front, it was just really eye-opening to me to understand, some of the challenges that we're facing as a community of artists in Victoria. The obstacles that we are yet to overcome, things that I thought we were past, but we clearly are not. things like infrastructure and capacity building and opportunities for engaging multiculturalism within the art sector, and seeing multiculturalism reflected on all levels. I think that it's more evident now, for me at least, than ever, that we're still not seeing representation on the higher levels of the art sector. On the ground floor, we're out here, we're in the schools, we're doing the work, we're working with young people, we're doing all these programs and all of this work on the ground floor, and we're slowly climbing up the ladder. But at the top of the ladder, it's still very much white, for lack of a better word. Yeah, and that was very evident. But yeah, I hope I don't get into too much trouble with putting this out there. And if you guys are watching this, keep it on the down low, because I love my job. But as well, if my job sees this and we get into trouble, I just want you to know this is all me. No one prompted me to say all of this. This is just my thoughts. This is how I feel. And I also, I'm very confident in saying, it's a problem. And we need that inclusivity to be something that we actually practice and not just preach. We need more than just hype crews that say that they're hype crews and then don't actually hype unless they're part of your crew. If that sounds like a rant, it's because it is. I think I'm sick and tired of people talking the talk and not walking the walk. And I'm tired of people acting like it's some great thing that they're doing when you're quite mediocre at what it is that you do. There's a lot of invalid validation going around for specific things that are happening within the arts sector, and not enough validation going around for truly impressive, outstanding work that's happening to develop new talent and support marginalized communities. And yes, in saying that, I've been very proud to be a part of this new era of Multicultural Arts Victoria and play a small role in building what we are today. For those who don't know, Multicultural Arts Victoria is a 50-year-old organization. A lot of work has gone into it. We stand on the shoulders of many incredible people before us, but we also inherit a lot of, I'll just come out and say it, there's a fair amount of negative things that have happened in the past that is, no one's, but also everyone's fault. But it's also not without potential to reconcile. And I know it sounds like I'm getting a little bit too political and trying to censor myself a little bit. I'm really not. I'm really being open and honest as possible, and don't really have an agenda. But I really love what we're doing as an organization right now. I love what we're building, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. And this weekend just gave me a deeper appreciation for the people that I work with, specifically Miriam Ebud and Lauren Mullings. I think they're both very powerful and intentional thinkers and dreamers, and I think that we're on the cusp of achieving something great. And in saying that, I'm also very inspired, and I came back with a greater mindset of what I want to create with We Move. And it's a long time journey. It's going to be a long time, which means I'm going to be around at Multicultural Arts Victoria for a long time. But at the same time, I essentially want We Move to be an arts organization of its own. I am founding an arts organization of my own that can hopefully scale to take over Victoria and fill a need, which is arts programs that are free of cost to young people and sustainable, and also offer jobs and job security for older young artists, if that makes sense. So if you look at the spectrum of what youth means, you know, it starts at like 15, in some cases 13, and usually ends in 25. So we're developing programs like Be Free and Platform that target those on the closer to the starting end of that spectrum. But there's potential there to employ and develop work for those who are on the later side of that spectrum and closer to 25. And that's something that I'm really passionate about, because it sort of creates that cycle or that revolving door where, you know, we're employing those artists who are on the later end of that spectrum, who are not quite established, but still kind of emerging, but also on the cusp of being established, to work in fields that are rewarding and fulfilling. Going into schools and working with young people who are passionate about music, you also develop these transferable skills that help you become a better artist as well. So there's that osmosis there where you're just getting better at everything that you want to do. And that's very rewarding for those artists. But eventually they're going to get too good where they take a massive leap in their individual career and become these artists, these professional working artists, and they don't need this job anymore. But the great thing is that they've been developing these younger artists, and now they are poised to step into that position and fill that role until eventually where they take that leap, and then there's a next. You know what I mean? It's that revolving door. It's sort of like Saturday Night Live, which is, I don't know how relevant that is to you guys watching, but to me, I grew up on Saturday Night Live and understanding that there's a revolving door of cast where, you know, new cast come in every year, old cast leave, and they go on to be Tina Fey and create Mean Girls, or they go on to be Jimmy Fallon and take over the late night show, and Seth Meyers and everything like that. The old guard go out, Bill Hader creates Barry, but then the new guard come in, and that's when you get Pete Davidson, and, you know, Kenan Thompson might still be there during the whole thing, and he might connect all these generations and be that Kevin Bacon of the show. But the new talent come in, they show what they can do, and then they develop, they get better and better. The show gets better and better. The show gets a new identity every year, and then they go out when the new guard comes in. Anyway, probably rambled on that analogy a bit too much, but that's what I compare it to. You know, we get artist facilitators, we develop them, and then they move on to what they're going to do. And then those kids that we were developing through our programs step into their roles. And it's just synergy, it's osmosis. And it's a vision that I've had for a very long time that I think tackles a lot of the issues that we've been facing as a scene. And I really want to open up about it more. I'm really, there's a lot of things going on. There is a whole lot of things going on. And I know I'm being open about this stuff and it all just sounds like visions and ideas, but I promise you, we're getting close. We're getting close, at least, you know, to phase one. This isn't even phase one right now. What's happening, all the progress that we've been making since 2018. 2018 was when we first started dropping inklings of platform. And it wasn't even We Move yet. It was just platform. It was one program or an idea of a program. And now we're here. It's all just prologue. It's just the before the story, the prelude. Anyway, there's all kinds of like synonyms that I could throw in there, but that's this episode. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave a comment below about what you want to hear more of. If you guys want to see me do different videos that aren't just about the analytics and me rambling on afterwards about what's going on in my life, just hit me up. Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to at least 500 subscribers. If we can get to 1,000 and then 5,000, you know, I want a play button. Um, but subscribe, listen to my music. The news is out now. Run it up so that I can talk about more analytics in the next video this Thursday. But again, much love to you all. Keep chasing your dreams. Nomad222, you know what it is. Yeah, yeah.